Hi, Y Combinator. I'm Danielle from Happy Takeoff.
And I'm Rachel from Happy Takeoff, and we're excited today to tell you about our aircraft, Prism.
So this is our aircraft Prism, and Prism is the world's first fixed-wing hydrogen-powered VTOL. This is super important to us because aviation contributes to about 12% of transportation emissions. But when you're thinking about going electric, we have to consider the source of that electricity. And so lithium is a finite resource. We just learned that Tesla has a 4 to 5 year wait on their lithium. So really the only logical solution for transportation going electric is hydrogen fuel cells. Being the first fixed wing hydrogen powered eVTOL is important to us is because rotorcrafts are extremely dangerous. So adding the wings makes the aircraft able to land without any power. So in the case of a complete power failure, you could still land this aircraft safely. Lastly, we believe that simplicity is the key to safety. So we have fixed wings and fixed rotors. The more moving parts, the more complex, the more dangerous.
Prism was designed by Daryl Cummings, and in our opinion, he is the best aircraft designer in the world. He has many patents and has taken many aircraft to production. He designed this aircraft to be used both in military and civilian applications. As we've mentioned, Prism is the only hydrogen-powered VTOL that also has a fixed wing. It can carry up to 6 passengers in a 2x2x2 formation or up to 1,200 pounds of cargo. The landing gear is integrated into the airframe for ease of ground handling. It's a hybrid design. The lift rotors are powered by lithium-ion batteries, while the push rotor is powered by hydrogen fuel. The reason for this is that the lift operation requires a much larger draw of energy at first that hydrogen just isn't capable of doing yet. But hydrogen is much more efficient at powering an aircraft for a long trip. The lift rotors, as you can see, are redundant. They're stacked one on top of the other just for in case there's a blade failure, you can still have one that's operating. The gull wing design is a feature that helps keep the rotors up above the passengers as they ingress or egress. And finally, the wings fold to keep the footprint nice and low.
So we believe that the medical field is the first application for our design. This Prism can be configured for emergency response, patient transport, organ delivery, search and rescue, and many more humanitarian related missions. Again, we believe the key to being safe is to keep things simple. So that's why Prism is designed with no tilting parts. Prism can use hydrogen fuel, which will provide much better operating costs than traditional helicopters that are currently in use, and far more range than battery-powered eVTOLs. Another thing to note is that Prism is designed to start out as a hybrid system, so it can use kerosene with batteries until the hydrogen fuel cells are certified. The redundant safety features help ensure patient safety and mission completion. We see two main issues with our competitors' design. So we've seen Volocopter and EHong come out recently and say that they're doing air ambulance missions. The first issue that we see is they're really small. There's no way that they can fit a stretcher inside of that fuselage. The second problem is that they're powered by batteries, and the batteries are so heavy. They might not be able to get to the patient on a single charge. Will they actually be able to deliver the patient to a hospital? Something to consider. The Prism can easily go pick up a patient with a medic on board and be able to put the patient on a stretcher and deliver the patient to a hospital without having to stop to refuel.
Prism is patented. Included in this slide are the figures from our patent. And in these photos, you can really appreciate both the redundant nature of the vertical lift propellers, as well as the gull wing design to keep those rotors up away from the passengers as they're ingressing or egressing. Here you can see the size of Prism with wings folded as compared to an F-35. This keeps the footprint of Prism much smaller, so you can store many more in a defined space, or you can store it in smaller locations. This is the octocopter. It's currently at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma. We use this to test the double rotor octocopter design of Prism. One thing about this octocopter is that we can add a fuselage and wings to test our overall design, and we can also retrofit it with a hydrogen fuel cell system to test our technologies. Here you can see a 3D rendering of Prism. You can really appreciate the stacked rotor design, the gull wings, and the fixed landing gear.
Our team is our greatest accomplishment. Together, we have over 150 years experience in aircraft design and certification. We also have medical industry experience. In fact, Rachel's wrapping up her last year of med school right now. There are over hundreds of startups developing eVTOLs, but we are the only women-owned eVTOL OEM. And we believe that now is the time to remodel this industry because it is desperate for diversity and change.